Hi, everyone. This is Denise. Good morning. It is 10:18 in the morning, and I know you probably are already up and about doing what you do. And I just wanted to stop in really quickly and talk about a program that I have coming up in a 1010 yoga studio in Morton. And it's Your Thoughts Have Power. Let's prove it. And today I just wanted to stop in and just talk about our thoughts and how much power they have. Growing up as a little girl in Jamaica, we were told that we had what, five senses: hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, and then seeing. So all my life, I lived based upon what I could see, what I could smell, what I could taste, and what I could feel. As a matter of fact, I'm what they consider a feeler. I can feel things. If you hear me speak about something, you never really hear me say, I think. I'll say, oh, I feel this way, right? So I lived like that for years, for decades, based on those five senses, until I realized that as human beings, we have these powers, these um, these gifts that we don't really know about them. They're your mental faculties, and they help you to navigate this world. All right. And when you master these gifts, or when you tap into them and become aware of them and use them, you can have almost anything that you want. So I'm going to go through them really, really quickly because I just want to stop in for 5 minutes. And if you have a pen and paper, take notes, because once you master these, you, like I said, can have just about anything you want. The first one is imagination. We see it everywhere. We see it in kids' movies. We see it in just everywhere. A lot of the top people in the world, how they come up with stuff is through their imagination. And if those of you remember that scene in Peter Pan with Robin Williams, where they were sitting at the table and there was literally no food on the table. And the adult Robin Williams playing Peter Pan, the adult Peter Pan could not see the food. And the children said, Peter, it's in your imagination. And when he finally caught on to the whole imagining it, suddenly there was an abundance of food, and they had so much food they were even playing with it. The thing about it is that everything you want is in your imagination. In fact, if you focus on what's in your imagination, you can make it reality. For example, the car you're driving, the phone you're using right now, everything that you see in our known world with our seeing sense, it came from someone's imagination. So, what I would suggest, if you want to create something big, spend a lot of time in your imagination. I remember, I think it was Albert Einstein, they asked him, how did he become so successful? Some kids asked him. And he said, well, spend time in your imagination. And they said, but how? And they said, well, spend more time. So you want to set aside time every day, even if it's for 5 minutes, imagining what you want. And you can test this. Maybe let's say you want to find a yellow butterfly. You can actually imagine that you have found a yellow butterfly, and you will find one even if it's not in season. And I'll give other examples, especially when I do my workshops. I'll show you real life examples of us using some of these gifts that we have. The next one is your reason. Now, one of the best stories I've heard about reason is about this fly that was trying to make it through a window. And the fly tried everything it could to make it through the window, through the glass pane. I mean, it could see freedom on the other side, but it didn't know how to get there. And it did use all its willpower, everything. And in the end, the fly died trying to go through the window, when just a few inches away was an open door. With reason, you are like, well, before reason, let's say before using reason, you would try really, really hard to do stuff. Like for me, I tried hard. I thought it was hard work that was going to make things happen. I really, really did. And then I realized that it wasn't hard work. It's using this reason and imagination that helps. And good morning, Facebook user. Just say your name, because Facebook doesn't allow me to see your name unless you authorize them to. So with your reason, right? You want to spend time being on the frequency of what you want. Now, when I say everything in this world is based on frequency and vibration. So let's say you want to be a lawyer. You want to be on the frequency of being a lawyer. Every day you get up and you act like you're that lawyer. Every day you get up and you do what you think someone who's a lawyer would do. And what will happen is you'll start raising your frequency and you'll magnetize it to you. We'll talk more about that in our workshops as they go along, and why this is what the 1% know that a lot of people don't know. And my intention is to teach this to as many people who will listen. The next one is your intuition. You know, when you know that you know, you just know, have that gut feeling. Intuition is one of the things. Thank you so much for the stars. I love it. But intuition is that gut feeling that you have when you know something. You don't know how you know it, but you know it. And my intuition has been very, very good to me. I know things sometimes that I don't know how I know, but I do know it. And it turns out to be true or real. And if you're that person in the audience who has ever just felt something intuitively and it turned out to be true, put it in the chat, in the comment section. I would love to talk to you more about it, because this is one of those gifts that we tend to ignore. Your intuition said, don't date that guy or don't date that girl. And you go against your intuition and it turns out to be horrible. Or don't buy this thing and you go against your intuition and it's really, really a bad thing. All right. The next one is memory. As I've been speaking to people over and over, I realize that a lot of us live in the past. I've spoken to people who are still stuck on something traumatic that happened 20 years ago. And Dr. Joe Dispenza always says, when someone starts telling their story and he says, okay, when did this happen? And they said, 20 years ago. And he says, well, it means that you haven't changed in 20 years. And I was like that. I was like this person who was always telling the same story that happened 20 years ago. It took a lot of training for me to get to the point where I'm in the now. So you can use your memory to remember the past, or you can remember the future. And now this is where the magic happens. So with your imagination, you can actually start thinking up something that you want to happen in the future and remembering the future. And when we do my meditations, I have some new meditations out. You'll learn, you'll practice, you'll master imagining the future. And when it starts happening for you, you got to let me know, because I've had some great things happen. Some of my colleagues have had some great things happen from imagining or memorizing or living in the memory of the future. You'll see the same thing happening to you and you'll think it's magic, but that's just one of the gifts we have as humans. All right. The next one is perception. And perception is a big one, because a lot of times we complain about the things that we don't like. For example, we don't like our job, we don't like our car, or we don't like our husband, or we don't like we just, our perception. And perception is, if you looked at things a different way, like if you seriously looked at things a different way, it would make a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why I created the gratitude journal, the My Gratitude Journal, is because you can give thanks for the things that you think are bothering you, and it can turn out to be something amazing. For example, you don't like your job, but I promise you, if you were to get up every day and to find 5 things every day that you are grateful for about your job, it pays you money. You maybe like your coworkers. You're excited. Thank you, God, you got the job. You wanted the job. You're excited that you got the job. If you do this over and over, it will change your perception. And once you change your perception, things change. This is fact. Quantum scientists have this thing called the observer effect. And basically what they figured out is when they looked at a particle, whatever they expected the particle to do, it did it. So change your perception and you change your world. And gratitude is a great way to start. All right. The next one is your will. Now, the will is the last one I'll talk about, because there are only 6 of them anyway. The will, I've seen people use their will on people that is against their will. You must never use your will on anyone. Will is that made up mind that you're going to do something. Use your will on yourself. Be determined that you're going to get your goal, or you're going to get that house, or you're going to slim down, or you're going to do A, B, and C. But never use your will on another human being. All right? Your will is what makes you push through things. It's what makes you create those goals that you have. But as I said before, never use your will on anyone. If you have time, and on Sunday, October 30th, we're going to be doing an event at 1010 Studio in Morton, PA. And that's where we're going to do real life experiments of how powerful your mind is. Your mind is going to be blown, because you are not going to realize just how your thoughts actually play out in the real world. All right. And I'll put a flyer on Facebook and in our private group about that event. The event is, I think it's like $20, and Danielle is allowing me to share with her community, and I am, of course, inviting people. Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you all the way in Alberta, Canada. But yes, so we want to make sure that you come to that event, because it's going to be fun. And I'm also doing group events too, where you can get a couple people together and we will talk about this stuff. Because the more humans that realize just how powerful they truly are, the better this world will be. The more harmony we'll have, because our goal is to evolve, right? I love you all. Thank you so much for sharing 11 minutes and 39 seconds of your time. And if this made a difference for you, just please leave a comment in the chat. I would love to talk to you more. Bye-bye.